The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Game Podcast Network is brought to you by EdgeBoost. Bank and for bettors. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with the promo code SGPN to get a $25 deposit match bonus. We're also brought to you by NYRA Bets. Claim your $200 deposit match bonus today by going to nyrabets.com/SGPN200, promo code SGPN200. And welcome, everybody, to the Tennis Game Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. It is currently Tuesday night, late Tuesday night, around 11 p.m. Eastern on May 13th. I'm Rosso with Scott Reichel, once again going solo for this pod. Time to get into the quarterfinals of Rome. Kinda. We are missing a match because the Munar match didn't happen against Root. It's going to take place tomorrow. So we only have 3 matches to preview for this episode, and we are missing some lines on one of them. So a bit compromised here. But either way, show must go on. We're going to record no matter what. So either way, point is we're going to be breaking down the quarterfinal matches that we have access to here in Rome for the episode. Now, before we get into the actual recap of the round itself, in the round of 16, do want to quickly remind you once again that you can help the show grow by liking and subscribing on YouTube. Not going to leave a rating and a review on Spotify or Apple. It's a couple ways to support the show. Please do so. And a reminder that whether you listen to the podcast audio only or you listen to it on or watch it on YouTube or even simulcasting on Twitter, don't forget to help the show grow by leaving some ratings and reviews and liking and subscribing. Plus, a reminder to check out the merch store on the SGPN website. We have a lot of great Tennis Game Podcast merch with sweatshirts, t-shirts, and mugs. High quality, very affordable, different colors too. And a reminder, we do have a great discount right now for the merch store because the DGens line of gear is alive in the merch store. And celebrate, we're taking 20% off everything with promo code DGens. So use code DGens at checkout for 20% off everything in the merch store. Starting off with the lock and dog picks. Unfortunately, 2 annoying losses. One wasn't that bad of a beat, but de Minaur had some chances. We had de Minaur team total over 12.5 at -113 as the lock. He had never lost to Paul in his career. We did pick the 7-5 or 7-6 marathon set. Unfortunately, though, de Minaur had a break point, did not convert, and then Paul broke him to win the set. So pretty annoying there. And then he got destroyed early on in the second set, as de Minaur did lose in straight sets. For the dog, though, a really annoying loss. We had a parlay. We had Mensik money line parlayed with the no tie breaks in the Musetti and Medvedev match. The no tie breaks got there. It wasn't easy, but the end of the first set was a circus. You had a bunch of breaks back and forth. Eventually, Musetti did win the set 7-5. But then Mensik, who did not get broken in the entire match, ended up losing anyway. He had a couple of breakpoint chances in the third set early on, didn't convert. He was up 3-0 in the breaker, ended up double faulting in the 5-5 point to give up a match point. And then Urkac had a crazy backhand to actually win the match. But in both breakers, Mensik was up a mini break early on, and he lost both breakers. So pretty annoying there. We ended up losing, fading Urkac when I'd say Mensik was the better player for most of the match. Once again, never got broken in the entire match, and he lost anyway. So that kind of sucks. But either way, I picked up a loss there for the dog. Thought Mensik might have had it. He was up 3-0. There was a long rally in the 3-1 point, and Urkac had a solid volley to put it away. Mensik had some chances, though. Unfortunately, he did, I don't want to say fall apart, but the double fault on 5-5 was an absolute heartbreaker. And we picked up a loss there for that play. So unfortunate pair of losses there for the lock and dog. Still thought the reads were okay. Just didn't work out. And we'll look for a winning day here for the quarterfinals. See a question from Mr. Wipeout asking about the Stearns match. I actually watched part of it. I saw Stearns have a bunch of break points midway through the second set, ended up blowing them, then got boomerang braked, then lost the set, and then came back and won the third. 7-6. So good for Stearns. I thought she was about to fully implode, but she was able to survive in the third. She might be exhausted. We'll see. But either way, she does play on Thursday, so at least she does have a day off before having to play again. So good for her. She's played well. I mean, to mention Stearns quickly, I think she's a solid player. She's been in good form, beating Keys, beating Kalinskaya, and she was able to beat Osaka as well. Beating Svitolina is good too. Paolini's tricky because she had a very weird win against Schneider. She was down, what was it, like 6-7, 0-4? She was down 4-0 in the second set. Then the crowd got to, once again, her opponent, and you ended up seeing Schneider implode, and Paolini won. So that's the interesting element here. It is the rowdy crowd in Italy, and if you think that Stearns will be able to overcome that, I think Paolini wins, but I see it being close. Stearns has been very good, though. Like, I'm not going to dismiss how good she's been, but I do think the crowd in Italy will play a factor. I would go Paolini in 3. if I had to go for a prediction on that match. I mean, you're looking at Paolini, who had a nice comeback win against Schneider, beat Ostapenko, good win there, beat Jabeur, beat Sun. She's been in good form too. I would go with Paolini in 3 if I had to pick, but I think it'll be a pretty close match. But anyway, getting into the actual recap of the men's round of 16 matches, decent amount of drama. We were hoping for it. We had a couple of straightforward days. Now we're going to see how it goes for this round. But for the round of 16, the first 3 matches were wars. You ended up seeing Moutet and Draper have a marathon, as Moutet won the first set 6-1, then Draper came back and won 6-4, 6-4, 6-3. Saw Alcaraz have a pretty weird, I'd say, second set there, because he was up a set in a break, looked like he was going to coast, and then he fell apart. You saw Khachanov win the last couple games in the second set, forcing a third, and then Alcaraz eventually outlasted Khachanov and won 7-5 in the final set. So a nice match there, competitive, it was fun. But Alcaraz got the job done in 3. Hurkacz said before, beat Mensik despite not breaking him in the entire match. Thought Mensik outplayed him, which sucks. I mean, Mensik won 86% of his first serve points, and he still lost the match. So that's a heartbreaker for us for the actual dog. But either way, nice win for Hurkacz, who looked very good in his first back-to-back day of action for a couple months. So good job by him. Musetti beat Medvedev, not surprising there. Musetti is the better clay player, so not a shock there. Sinner beats Cerundolo. Very fun match, which could have gone either way early on. Then Cerundolo lost the breaker. You can kind of tell he was going to mentally break down at some point early in the second. He did. He was down 5-1, made it somewhat interesting at the end, but when you go down 2 breaks to Sinner, you're not going to win. So I ended up losing 6-3 in the second set. Saw Zverev and Fies have a very fun back-and-forth first set, which Zverev did eventually win in a breaker, and then Fies was out of gas and Zverev dominated. He won 6-1 in the second set. He ended up seeing Paul beat de Minaur 7-5, 6-3. So a couple of very competitive matchups early. Then I'd say the afternoon matches that were in straight sets at least had a 7-5 or a 7-6 in the first set of all 4 of them. So there was at least one competitive set of tennis in every match on a Tuesday, which I thought was pretty nice. The problem was the weather was not cooperating. You had to delay the match point between Musetti and Medvedev by about 2 hours because it was pouring rain. So Musetti had to sit there. They basically froze the server for 2 hours because he had to wait before serving it out. He won the point, won the match. But the point is the weather definitely was important to mention because Munar and Ruud did not play. They are playing tomorrow instead. So the round of 16 is technically not over yet. There is one match left, but Ruud will be playing Sinner on Thursday anyway, or Ruud or Munar, I mean. So the point is the winner of that match will not play again on Wednesday. They'll have a couple hours or a day basically to prep for their next round match. Something to keep in mind, they're not going to have a situation where one guy plays 2 matches in a day. That's not going to happen. So they're going to be using the 3-match approach solely to finish a round of 16 on Wednesday. Anyway, nothing else to really talk about for the round of 16. Thought the matchups were competitive. Unfortunately, once again, the lock and dog plays did not go well. de Minaur had some chances, just didn't work out. Zverev impressed me. Sinner looked really good. I might as well recap the outrights, actually, because I actually don't know if I still have it. Yeah, the thing about the new streaming platform is it doesn't really do the best job of saving the actual banners that I have. So just to look quickly at what I have left, honestly, it's not great, but I do have a couple of quarter options here. I have Sinner to win the first quarter here at minus 115, so we're one match away from that. I have an automatic winner in the fourth quarter. I do have Zverev at 175, and I have Musetti at 360. So at least we have that. And then for the outrights, we have a couple of people left. Forgot to mention, by the way, I do have Ruud as well in the first quarter at 5-1. So we'll see how Ruud does. We might get 2 automatic wins in the quarterfinals with Zverev against Musetti and Sinner against Ruud. So might be having a pretty good quarters episode there. To mix in the outright picks, though, we have Sinner at 225. He's still alive. Have Musetti at a 28-1. And we have Ruud at 29-1. So overall, pretty good. We'll see how it goes with Ruud against Munar on Wednesday. But overall, can't complain. We'll see how the outrights go for the next couple of days. Anyway, time to move on into the actual breakdown of the matches for Wednesday and for Thursday, technically, because you have Hurkacz playing on Thursday. Before we get into those matchups, though, a reminder that we are brought to you by our sponsor, EdJuice, because they have the first ever banking table for bettors. They're also ensuring that all gambling transactions are approved. They have usage fees and open balance, also catch rewards. You can earn those very easy to do so. 100% approval for opening deposits. Sign up today at ADVERTISE.bet with the promo code SGPN. That also have a great deal right now. Deposit $25 and ADVERTISE match a deposit. ADVERTISE.bet promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by NYRA Bets, because the Preakness is right around the corner, and there's no better way to get on the action at NYRA Bet. Sign up today with the promo code SGPN200 and score a $200 deposit match bonus. Don't wait, though. Head to nyrabets.com/SGPN200. Give them $200 deposit match bonus today. nyrabets.com/SGPN200. We're also brought to you by Nordic Fantasy, because you can play their new game mode ladders with 500 times your entry by watching your favorite players climb the ladder. You can also sign up for your new account with the promo code SGPN to get a special pick and a first-time deposit offer up to 1K in bonus cash on a fantasy promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finished recapping the round of 16. Time to move on into the quarterfinals. Once again, a bit short-handed. We have two full, I'd say, set of betting lines for matches, but we are a bit short-handed in the Paul Hurkacz match, and we have no lines for the Ruud match because he's still in the round of 16 against Munar. So keep that in mind. We'll not be talking about Sinner for this episode, so apologies if you were expecting it, but we don't have the actual matchup yet, so can't break it down. Now, for the actual matchups in order, starting off with the Draper match against Alcaraz, a hell of a matchup to start the day. So for this one, you have Alcaraz at minus 275, Draper's plus 210. For the spread, you have minus 3.5 for Alcaraz, minus 117. Draper plus 3.5, minus 109, and the over-under is set at 22.5. Now, for that history, faced off this year, actually, on hard court, and you ended up seeing Draper win in Indian Wells. I believe that was the semis en route to the title. Also faced off in the Australian Open, and remember, Draper got injured in the middle of the match, had to retire. So Alcaraz is 1-1 so far this season against Draper. Draper, though, has won 2 of the last 3, did beat him in London last year. But the point is, they have faced off a handful of times, and it has been very close, as Alcaraz is currently up 3-2, but Draper's won 2 of the last 3. No meetings, though, on clay. So it is a little bit different than normal, but Draper's been looking sharp in the event. Not dominant, because he did drop a set to Mutet, but he was beating Capriva and Darderi comfortably. Also made the final in Madrid, so he has been playing some good tennis. As for Alcaraz, he's looked okay. Beat Lajovic in straight sets, beat Desir, had a breaker there, so that was a bit, I'd say, tricky. And then he ended up dropping a set to Khachanov, but it was a pretty weird overall match, because Alcaraz was coasting. He was up a set in a break, and then he fell apart for about 25 minutes. And then at that point, Khachanov made it a match, and then Alcaraz had to win a marathon in the final set. But I do think Alcaraz should be the favorite here. Of course, he's the better clay player. The question is, how healthy is he? I think he looked fine healthy-wise. I think Alcaraz is a guy who can be very, very, I'd say, volatile at times when playing through injury, because he will go for so many insane shots. The shot selection sometimes can be a little bit lackluster, and if he's not moving as well as normal, his footwork can get a bit sloppy. And I do think that can be an area where Draper might capitalize. It might be pushing Alcaraz around the court. Now, I thought Alcaraz looked healthy. It wasn't a health issue. It just seemed like the unforced errors crept up again, and Khachanov kind of just locked in, and you saw Alcaraz just spray a bunch of errors across the court and punted away the second set. I do think, though, for this matchup here, I see a question about hedging the Alcaraz quarter odds. It really comes down to how you feel about Alcaraz against Draper, because you can get a very good price. It's like plus 220 or so to take Draper. But I do think that for the matchup itself, I think I would take Alcaraz. I think he's better on clay. Draper, though, had a pretty tricky match against Mutet, and Mutet plays nothing like Alcaraz. At least Khachanov, you could argue, I know that he's a righty and Draper's a lefty. At least there are some similarities between the two of them. So you could argue that Alcaraz might be, I'd say, better prepared to face off against Draper, because the previous opponent is pretty similar style-wise compared to Mutet and Alcaraz. I see it being close, though. Andrew, to answer your question, it comes down to your opinion. If you personally like Alcaraz to win, then you let it ride. If you want to end up betting Draper because you think that you're worried about a loss, then bet Draper to hedge. It comes down to you. I think Alcaraz will win. I think it will not be easy. I see it being close, but I am going to pick Alcaraz to win. If you wanted my thoughts, I'd go for Alcaraz team total over for this one at 12.5 at minus 130. I think it'll be close. We saw Alcaraz go to 3 sets on a hard court against Draper earlier this year. We saw them have a 7-5 set in the Australian Open, then a 7-6 set in London. There's actually been a bit of, once again, competitive tennis between them in the head-to-head. So I am picking a close matchup. I think Alcaraz will win, but I can see a 7-5 or 7-6 or even a 3-setter. So I don't mind the Alcaraz team total over. Don't mind the over in the match, too. I think that could be an option, too. So give me a closer match, but I'm going to pick Alcaraz to win and advance on into the semis. Moving on to the matchup here between Musetti and Zverev, which I think you could argue is the match of the round. It might be Ruud Sinner, but we don't know if Ruud's actually going to play Sinner, so we're going to have to wait that out. But Musetti and Zverev is a phenomenal match, which should be very fun. Now, for this one, this is going to be Musetti as the dog in his home country in Italy. You have Zverev at -150. You have Musetti at +120. For the spread, -1.5 for Zverev, +1.5 for Musetti. For the over-under, I see 23.5 games. Juice the under, though, so you can find 22.5 juice the over if you want to play it that way. For the actual team totals, you can find Zverev team total over 12.5 at -136. You can find Musetti over 12.5 at even money. Head-to-head history, though, has been close between them. It is currently 2-1 in favor of Musetti. Musetti's won each of the last 2 meetings, faced off last year in Vienna on hard court, and Musetti did win in 3. Faced off in the Olympics on clay, the only clay meeting that was actually fully completed, because they faced off in 2022, and Musetti quit because he got injured, so I'm not really going to count that one, but that was 2022. Point is, they'll face off in the Olympics in Paris, and Musetti did win 7-5, 7-5 en route to the bronze medal. So the point is, when you're looking at the actual matchup itself, do I think Zverev should be -150? No. I think that price is way too large. I understand Zverev beating Fees. I get that Medvedev is a former champion, not as good of a clay player as Fees. I understand it. Having said that, Musetti's won 2 straight against Zverev. We know Zverev can be extremely, I'd say, vulnerable to mental collapses and to choking in big spots. And Musetti's been better at actually performing well on the big points. Now, Zverev's been good in the event so far, but Musetti, I think, has been solid too. He has not dropped a set yet. He's looked pretty sharp, and I think you're looking at Musetti, who recently has done well in the head-to-head. So based on that, I see some value on Musetti. The crowd will be into it. I can see a world where Zverev faults a couple times. The crowd starts cheering for the faults. Zverev gets pissed, and he punts a point or two. I can see that happening. I think Musetti, though, has been playing good tennis. I think that he's a solid clay player, top 5 clay player in the world. Both guys are, because Zverev made the French Open final last year. But I do think 150 is pretty steep when Musetti is going to benefit heavily from the crowd. So based on that, I see Musetti looking sharp here. I see a close match. I like the over in games. You can find 22.5, for example, at around -130. I think that's intriguing as well. I don't mind the team total over 2, but do I think Zverev should be 150? I don't. Even if you think Zverev wins the match, 150 is definitely steep. You probably could find a better price mid-match. I would have Zverev at like -120. It feels like a borderline pick'em here. I get Zverev face off against better competition, which is why he would be favored in the spot, because he was able to beat Fees, but he beat Galbis, who's a relative unknown, beat Ugo Carabelli, relative unknown. Musetti beat Medvedev, former champion, beat Nakashima, and beat Virtanen. So both guys, besides the last matchup, have not played a lot of great opponents. So I think that's pretty comparable for the two of them based on strength of schedule. And I trust Musetti more based on recent form. Made the finals of Monte Carlo. We know that he, of course, won the bronze medal in the Olympics. He has played well against Zverev recently. I see it being close. Give me the over. Give me an absolute war. But I am going to go with Musetti to get the job done in his home country. I see a close matchup, though. Before the value, it's got to be Musetti plus money. If Musetti was favored, I'd probably argue for Zverev. I think you might want to consider a coin flip opportunity with plus money. So give me Musetti at +120 for this one. Moving on to the next matchup here. Once again, we are one matchup short. But we do have Hurkacz against Paul, which is a pretty weird match to break down because we are quite short-handed for the actual odds. Now, for this one, I have the money line. That is it. That's all I got. I got Paul -180. I have Hurkacz +143. Once again, this is on Thursday, so Hurkacz does have a day off to rest after the 3-set marathon against Mensik. For the actual matchup, though, a lot of competitive history between them. Faced off last year in this event, actually, and Paul did win in 3 sets. So we've seen some history in this exact environment. Paul did win in 3 sets. Face off in Indian Wells 2023, and Paul also won in 3. A lot of very close matchups. Paul, though, has won 2 straight. Hurkacz won the first 3. 2 of them were fake matches that were UTC first to 4 in each set. So I'm gonna skip those. But the point is, for the last 3 meetings, you saw a 7-5, 7-6 in favor of Hurkacz in Paris 2021. Indian Wells 2 years ago, Paul won in 3, and Rome last year in 3 as well. Paul looked very good against Dimonauer. He's looked very good. Hurkacz survived because the serve is very impressive, but I do think Mensik was the better player. The returning was not great. Mensik, though, is a great server. Paul, though, played, objectively speaking, very well. I think Paul's looked like the better player in the event so far. Hurkacz, though, should make it difficult. The serve's dangerous. Of course, he can end up forcing a breaker just by holding and by winning a breaker, like it did against Mensik. He had 19 aces. He was fantastic. I mean, he did end up fighting off he fought off 7 of the 8 breakpoint chances that he had to deal with. So Mensik, once again, left the door open for a potential win. But based on current form, I understand why Paul's a favorite of this caliber. Would I have him at 180? No. I'd have him at like minus 140. I think 180 is pretty high. But I do think Paul's going to win. I see a war, though. I don't mind the over 2.5 sets. I don't mind picking a breaker. Team total overs, which are not available for me right now. I think that that's the approach I'd go for. I would pick the marathon, let's see who blinks first type of approach, and I think that's how I'd go about it. So I don't mind the team total overs. The problem was I was waiting for the lines to drop for team totals and for the actual game total for the overall match, and it didn't exist. So I got really annoyed. I got fed up waiting, and I'm recording. But I would have considered delaying the show just to get the odds out for this match. But I decided it wasn't worth it because the matches do start pretty early tomorrow morning, as they start on Wednesday at around 8 a.m. Eastern. That is the Munar Rude match. It's actually 9 a.m. Eastern if you want to factor in the actual quarterfinals. I didn't want to wait until 1 a.m., just waiting, refreshing the screen, trying to get the updated odds. So I decided to just record anyway. But I like the over, whatever number that's going to be. Probably 22.5, maybe 23.5. Don't mind team total over 2. If it's a not heavily juiced, 12.5 or 13.5. But give me the over. I'll pick Paul to win, but I see a breaker, maybe even a breaker or 2, but I think you're looking at what should be a close matchup. Give me Paul, though, to look like the better player as the match progresses, and we saw him win this matchup last year in the exact same court. So give me the Paul pick here, but the money line's too expensive. Give me the over instead. Anyway, let's go wrap it up for the 3 matches that we have for the quarterfinals. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. For that, though, we're brought to you by our sponsor Rhythm, because they are the home of NBA picks and props, available for the NBA playoffs and for the NBA prop market. They also have WNBA options, which are available for the season starting on Friday. Build your model, though, very simple and easy to do. You can also try it free for a week by using 7-day free trial. And remind you, you can also use their discount codes. They have 25% off the monthly deal by using the promo code SGPN25, 50% off the annual deal with the promo code SGPN50. It's Rhythm, promo code SGPN25 or SGPN50. Sign up, though, for the free trial by using the link sportsgamepodcast.com/RETHMM for the 7-day free trial. We're also brought to you by MyBookie, because MyBookie is the place in every sport. They have the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, they have baseball, they have tennis, you name it. They have props in every game as well. They also are available on several locations. Also use crypto for OnlyFans payouts. Easy deposits to MyBookie.ag with the promo code SGPN to get a 100% match up to 1K. Term conditions by MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Circle Ultimate Fantasy Football Giveaway, because they are having a great giveaway for a fantasy league. Circle Resort and Casino is giving away the Ultimate Fantasy Football experience by giving away a free stay for a 12-person league to draft, and you'll be treated like a VIP for your entire stay. 2-night stay at Circa for the entire 12-person league. Hold the draft at a cabana, Stadium Swim, with a $5,000 food and beverage credit, limited transportation as well to and from the airport. Welcome party, a legacy club for the league. Reservation at the world's largest sportsbook for the $500 beverage credit for the league. 2-hour open bar package for the league at Overhang Bar. Contest duration is from May 5th to June 30th. Sign up, though, sign up at sportsgamepodcast.com/circa, sportsgamepodcast.com/CIRCA. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finished going through the quarterfinal matches. Time to move on into the lock and dog plays. For the lock, going to be controversial because we have no line. I'm speculating what it's going to be. We'll see how this goes. Give me the Hurkacz and Paul over games. I'd prefer to 22.5. If it's 23.5, I'll live and I'll swallow it. But I'll go with the over for this match. I think it's going to be a war. I think Hurkacz is built to have a bunch of course, marathon sets with the great serves. Actually been rallying pretty well. Saw them face off last year and went to a 3rd set. I see a marathon either way. I think Paul might end up winning. Who knows? But 2 different styles, 2 players in great form, and I do like the day off to allow both guys a chance to recharge the batteries. Give me the over in this one. Looking at the actual meetings, 8 of the last 11 matches for Paul, by the way, have had a 7-5 or 7-6 set. Each of Hurkacz's last 2 matches went to a deciding set, and each of the last 3 matches, whether it went to straight sets or 3 sets, did not end up going below 23.5. Each of the last 3 meetings had at least 24 games. See that happening again. Give me the over for this one. Faced off last year at the event, and Paul went in 1-3, but the point is it ended up going well over this number. Give me the over in games. I wish I had an actual line, probably 23.5. Who knows? But I'll cap it at 23.5 for the sake of convenience, so I'll actually adjust it. I don't have odds on it, but once again, hopefully I am not making up a line, and hopefully it's not 24.5. It probably shouldn't be on clay. So for the adjusted line, actually, give me the Hurkacz and Paul over 23.5 games. We'll go with that, whatever that price may be. For the dog, though, going to go back to the Zverev and Musetti match. Give me the Musetti team total over 12.5 games at even money. Musetti's won 2 straight against Zverev. Each of the matches were marathons, and you saw Musetti go over this team total in both wins. Musetti, though, has been serving better than Zverev recently. Musetti only faced 3 break points against Medvedev, who's a very good returner. Zverev, though, faced 7 break points against Fies. So I do think that Zverev's serve, which was very impressive, by the way, in terms of first serve percentage, he still was facing a lot of very tricky service games. Musetti was very solid when it comes to serving, besides the back end of that first set. So he's been serving well, he's been returning well, and I do think that Zverev, who's been bad in the head-to-head against him recently, should have a competitive war against Musetti, but I think you're picking a very close matchup, no matter who wins. Might go 3 sets, might be a competitive win for Musetti, who knows. Either way, though, couple scripts to get there. I see a war. Give me Musetti team total over 12.5 as my dog at even money. So once again, the plays here for the lock and dog. The lock's going to be on the over in the Hurkacz and Paul match. We'll say 23.5. Once again, it's going to be awkward if it's not actually 23.5 and it's 24.5. But either way, point is I like the over in the match, so I'm going to go with it. For the dog, give me the Musetti team total over 12.5 at even money. That's going to wrap it up, though. We're back once again for the semis in Rome. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your